feels like the entire music industry changed like almost like 2 weeks after I signed my deal at 14. It was like, I signed a record deal. This is it. This is like when it becomes real. This is the real level. Now it really counts. And then like 2 weeks later, it was like, after record labels, independent artists is where it's at. And I was like, what did I do? What did I do? Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Big Boys Neighborhood, beautiful day in the neighborhood, ladies and gentlemen. Back in the neighborhood, Becky G.
Yes.
Welcome back to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Just off air, we were talking a little bit, man, and I was like, man, when was the first time we sat down? Not even the last time, but the first time. It's been over 10 years.
Yeah. 10 years.
It was,
and I still look like I'm 10 years old.
Yeah.
That's good, girl. That is some
But
good
you know what I
skincare.
love, man, is that you're grown up, you're all woman, you bossed up, and we've had a chance to like watch this journey of someone working hard to fulfill their dreams. And you gotta think you're nowhere close to an expiration date or being done. And you are on fire. Congratulations
Thank
to you,
you so
Queen.
much.
You
Thank
put a lot
you.
of hard work in though, too.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
doesn't stop.
Really?
It doesn't
though?
stop.
So damn. I mean, it's not going. You know what I'm saying? I hate that you said that because it's not going to stop for me either. Then I
No,
guess.
I know,
Because
it's
I'm looking for my stop.
I know.
Yeah, I'm like,
I get scared sometimes when I think about like, the last, 12 plus years. And when they're like, you're just starting, you're just
Right.
starting out. And I'm like, I'm tired.
But you know what's
What
crazy?
do you mean?
What's crazy too, and I've been in radio, Becky, for 28 years, right? And I'm still meeting new people every day. So that's crazy when you say it's been about 12 years, like over a decade for you, and with you still being so young, you haven't met everyone. There's so many people that's gravitating now more towards your music, your brand, who you are. Like, so all that's in the rearview mirror is a lot. But what's in that front, that windshield that's coming up for you?
Yeah,
Yeah. Are you ready for that?
I am.
Really? Though?
Yeah, I think, let me take that back. I think you're never ready.
Right.
I think you can be prepared.
Right.
I think that there's no such thing as starting from zero. You're just starting from that place of experience. And for me, it's exciting because I think I grew up feeling like I need to be heard.
Right.
And now I'm in this like season in my life where I'm really listening. Like I'm really listening to like even myself, where I am, why I do things. Why I'm here, and I think the pandemic really gave me that shift. And so even just that different lens that I'm viewing like myself, my career, my life from is exciting because
Right.
it brings new layers to the surface,
And usually at times, man, we get so caught up in what's going on at the moment that we don't take a pause to look at certain things with us, and when you said the pandemic, that's something I want to ask you about as well, because with the pandemic, we saw something that we've never seen, we weren't prepared for. It made the entire world do a sit down and a pivot.
Yeah.
What did you learn from? Now we can look back and say, oh, it's been about 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah.
But what did you learn from early on, day to day? I'm not interacting with fans physically. I don't have any shows. What did you do during those times?
Well, I think first I freaked the hell out.
Yeah, hello. Then we
and it was just such a lack of information and a lot of fear too. I think because of what was happening in society,
Right.
like with the world, it wasn't just here; it was happening everywhere. And then on top of that, what was happening internally, because I had never stopped. Like
Right.
since I was 9 years old, I had never stopped working, and so I was forced to.
Right.
Even like
right.
unwillingly, I didn't want to. I was at a really
And
good
that's
place.
got to be hard too. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
it
you're
was
working on
hard.
something.
I had just released an album. I was going to tour it. And so there was a lot of these things that I had momentum for that in the grand scheme of things, I think was more a blessing in disguise than anything.
Now
because,
when we look at it too.
Yeah, because also the way I was living my life, I don't think was very healthy.
How so?
I just think being a workaholic is something that we're all, like, especially from minority communities, we are that by nature, but we can't pour from an empty cup. And so I was like so excited to like distract myself from how tired I was. And when I stopped, it was like crash, boom.
Yeah.
And I was able to reflect on like my mental health, my physical health, my well-being. There was a lot of things happening with my health that I was still
because
figuring out.
you were running all the time too.
Yeah, and just like
Right.
other things that I had no clue about. I got diagnosed with a situation, and so I'm still learning about it, and I'm still dealing with it, and I have been ever since I got diagnosed with it right before the pandemic hit. So it was this big shift for me to kind of like take all that energy that I was giving externally and channel
Right.
it internally.
Right.
And I felt like I was gonna explode. Like
And
I
you-
was like, oh my God, this is so
And
much.
you know what's crazy about that too, Becky, is that, and maybe you are as well, we do so much, but it's a lot for others.
Yeah.
And a lot for others could be family, friends, community, whatever it is. And it's crazy when you start saying, man, if I don't take care of me, I can't take, if I'm not good to me, I'm good to nothing else that exists. But it takes a while for us to get there. And I don't know what your motivations are, Becky, but you know, I grew up, we had homeless situations, you know, it's 7 of us, you know, 8 of us, including my mom, rest in peace. But it was one of those things where, you know, I was motivated by a lot, motivated by, man, I got to get this, motivated. But one of my main motivations was fear. I was motivated by evictions and, you know, taking care of the family. So I constantly would say, okay, I'll do that. Okay, I'll work. And I'm just learning now, Becky, to say, no, let me do this. Take care of me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's when you get to that point, it's a lot because you still think I can do it.
Oh, absolutely.
Put it all on me.
But just because we can doesn't mean we should.
Right.
And that's been, I think, my greatest reflection on all of that. We have lived more of our life, and I have and I've shared my story with you before on when we lost our home and when we were living in my grandparents' garage, and that's where it all started for me at 9 years old. So it's crazy to think I've been working more of my life than I've ever spent it not working.
Right.
And the other day, my fans called me out because I have my canas, my white hairs up here.
Oh.
And I actually learned from my medical team of people. They're like, it's actually a reaction from our nervous system from receiving too much adrenaline from being in fight or flight for so long.
Right.
And that's why a lot of our people, we have canas. We get grays early. My mom, my dad, because we start with stress. We come out the
It's
womb
stress.
with stress. We're like, what are we gonna do?
Like,
what are
man,
we
when
gonna
will
do?
get my next bottle?
Right.
Jesus Christ.
For real.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I'm a worrywart. And I would worry about family, this, that, and the other, right? And then I have a brother named Keith, rest in peace. I would be great, and I look over at him, and this dude is like dark haired.
Yeah.
But he didn't have the stress that I had. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I definitely understand that. But you working on you now.
I am 100%. You
yeah.
said something really powerful too that
I always do.
You do.
No,
do.
no.
No. You drop gems. I
No,
will
thank
say
you,
that.
thank
That's
you.
why I love you. You're
Pick that up?
huge.
No.
No, for real. You're a huge part of when I saw you the other day at the restaurant, my
Yeah.
creative director, and I were having a meeting, and we both I'll admit it in front of you. We fangirled. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, that's dope.
That's my Theo Kurt. That's
Yeah.
big
Oh.
one. Yeah.
And she hit me. She was like, Theo Kurt. I was like, oh. Dude, my heart was so warm. I read it to my wife and my daughter. I said, look at this.
So cute. I'm done. But you said, fear was one of your biggest
Yeah.
motivations. And I learned that without fear, there's no courage. So we wouldn't be
Right.
the people that we are today. We wouldn't be as courageous as we are. But it's important to acknowledge that a lot of our success comes from great pain and to do work to not undo it because we can't change the past, but to do better.
Right.
For ourselves, because we deserve, I don't want to be one of those people who's like, when I'm no longer here, then I people talk about all the flowers that bloomed or are
Right.
gonna bloom. I want to enjoy that too,
Yeah.
And I think it's important that we teach our youth that we can participate in these experiences and have them for ourselves and enjoy them. We're allowed to have that.
Did it or does it ever become too much?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Which parts
I'd be
become
lying.
too much?
I think where we are as a society with how quickly we consume things, whether we're aware of it or not, I don't think it's intentional to be so entitled today. I don't think it's intentional. I think it's just part of our human experience in the instant gratification of social media, even film and TV. I can binge watch my favorite show in all 10 seasons in one day.
Right.
I can order my groceries and then be at my front door in 20 minutes. Not I have to leave, get in my car, So how we interact with people now has changed. I think that we are very sympathetic, but we're not empathetic. And I think empathy and sympathy are two very different things. And sometimes people don't even have sympathy for you because
Right.
they see so
Right.
many more layers of
Right.
filters before they get to the real you,
Right.
that the pieces that they start putting together of you are pure assumption and not based on fact or truth, because they've never sat down in a room with you, because all they've ever done is see you through a tiny little screen.
Right.
You know, and I'm tiny. I fit in that little screen, but you know, there's a lot more to me. There's a lot more layers.
What about with social media, man? I remember just before social media, it was like if an album came out, you know, you get a write-up from, you know, a critic, good or bad, whatever. Now everybody has a device, and everyone can take this device and say what they want. And it seems like they could be as mean as they want.
Right.
How do you handle social media?
Well, I do detoxes. When it
Yes.
becomes too much, I have no problem deleting the apps off of my phone. I think it's important to understand that, you know, we shouldn't be seeking validation in the wrong
Right.
places. We can provide validation for ourselves, but in order to do that, we have to have, you know, also key people that we can trust, that mirror the things that we would like to be. Good people, you know, surround yourself with good people,
Right.
people who keep it real with you. I've been with my same manager since I was 13 years old. My mom is my best friend. She has
Let's
never left
go.
my side. She's not my manager. She's my mom. So if I've ever been out of line, if something doesn't align with what I'm speaking,
She's mom.
She's mom. She's like, hey, Mija, you know, maybe you should think about this a little differently or view it from this position. And also understanding too that, you know, not everything that we think is fact.
Right.
Like even our own thoughts, like we can be so mean to ourselves because of how social media has kind of put this pressure on us. And I would say this too, you don't have to be like a famous person to know what that pressure is. Like now it's like my little sister, my younger fans who maybe have, I don't know how many followers, few followers, still deal with this pressure from society of how to look, how to speak, how to be. And if you're not that, then I'm not good enough, you know? And so your brain starts to receive that
And so early.
so early. So understanding that not every thought is fact, but sometimes just a suggestion from deeper, darker sides of us. It could be a place of trauma. It could be a place of insecurity. But what is true? How? What I was talking about this with my man the other day, because we both are and have been in therapy for a very long time. And is the thought right sized? Because sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm crazy for feeling this upset about this. Is it right sized?
Right.
Is it right sized? Is my feeling right sized to the situation, you know? And that I honestly think like social media took like gasoline and just fueled every wound that I've ever had.
Is it right
Yeah.
sized?
What made you want to go into therapy?
Oh, because I couldn't take it anymore. Yeah, I couldn't take it anymore. I was like the first one in my family to do therapy. And it's funny because I think culturally too, there's a lot of layers.
Yes.
You know, when you grow up in ethnic communities,
Yes.
it's like, I remember my grandma being like, pero ¿qué está pasando? ¿Estás bien? Like, you ought to be crazy
Yeah.
to sit down with a doctor and say, hey,
Yes, that's
I know I should be happy with all of the great things that are happening in my life, and I'm not really here to experience them. Is there some kind of thing bigger than my awareness that's going on? And it's sometimes just understanding too that part of our experience from our ethnic communities is like we know we're supposed to be happy in moments of success, but then we're also like, yo, it's gonna go away. Or not only is it going to go away, do I really deserve this? Like that imposter syndrome starts to build. So the more successful you become, the louder the noise gets. And so I was ready. I was so ready. I was so open. I cried the first session just sitting on the couch, you know,
Right.
the therapy couch. You can imagine what that looks like
Right.
in your head. It just looked like a living room, to be honest. It wasn't that serious.
But you know, and it is true, man. With people of color, our community, whatever. You know, I grew up where people were saying, "Oh, that's a shrink," or "That's a crazy doctor," or "He's going to a head doctor," "He's going to this." And now I'm so glad that we have more dialogue.
Oh, yeah.
And it's accepted, and it's like, hey, you know, do you need to speak to someone? Because sometimes, man, I was even talking with my guy Jose as we were rolling in today. I was like, man, sometimes when you say gasoline, I make things so much bigger in my head, and I do go to worst case scenarios all the time. Worst case, man, this is what's going on. Oh man, but then this, and I find myself having to speak with someone. Myself having to, you know, take off these layers, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, that we weren't comfortable with taken off years ago, you know?
Totally.
And I'm pretty sure that even with your fan base, you get a lot of conversations where people will say either a song or something that you did, you know, I felt that different.
Yeah, it's funny. Even the album, the first album compared to my last album, Esquemas, it's like there's a song called Dolores. And it's inspired by my grandma. My grandma on my mom's side, we jokingly, my tios, I grew up with them always saying like, oh, ahí viene Dolores, bring out the violins, porque todo te duele, because everything hurts you. Guys, her name is not Dolores. Like, her name is Guadalupe, but they jokingly call her Dolores because everything hurts her. And I was like, man, but how beautiful is it to feel? Like, people don't even feel anything today. Like, damn, I'm a lot like my grandma. I very easily like empathetic. I take all these like emotions on, and it's something that we do in our community, period, because it's not just for me. It's for we. It's for us.
Right.
It's bigger than me,
Right.
you know? And so you, like I said, you come out the womb with all of that, not knowing all this extra baggage that you're going to be carrying around in your life, that it's a very different race that we all run, you know? And so I wrote that song, and it's like even how I feel when I'm singing my music feels different because I'm able to participate in it. It's not a performance anymore. It is
because you have your pen and your thoughts and everything more so involved.
Totally, 100%. And
is it different when you're singing a song? Because you can feel a song someone else wrote, and there's some great songs out there that people deliver very well that someone else wrote. But is there a different feeling and a different texture when you're even more part of that creative process?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Absolutely. And I think it's important. I mean, to each their own. Like, however it is that you, sometimes there's days where I can't even, I'm able to be honest and say, I can't show up for myself 100% today. I'm showing up at maybe like a 70% today, you know, and it's having, like I said, the good people around you that say, hey, I'm gonna pick you up today. So however it is that I can participate, whatever that looks like, whether it's this much, usually it's this much, because I'm an overachiever and I like to just, you know, not say no to anything. But it feels a lot different, you know, and I'm thankful for that, for the resource and the opportunity to go to therapy, because, you know, I mean, the reality is the other layer behind it not only being taboo culturally, but it's also the access to it. Like, I didn't even know what therapy was. I didn't know, like, you know what I mean? I didn't know it was something. And then, like, does your insurance cover it? Is there free therapy? Do you need access to internet to get someone
there? And plus, we didn't have, Becky, we didn't have a lot of Me Too's and same here's. You know, like, I didn't have a lot of homies that was like, yeah, man, I'm in therapy too.
Yeah.
Or I'm in therapy. Oh, yeah, same here. You know what I'm saying? It was like, okay, well, I gotta take this and run for myself, which you got to do anyway. Is there more, and not the pity party thing, but is there also some things where you feel like being who you are, that you come with a different set of expectations? And then there's more to it culturally, you know what I'm saying? And not in a bad way, but it's like, man, I got to show up. I got to represent for, not just for me, but I got to represent for my people, my community, you know, being a Latina, being female. Like, there's a lot of enoughs that I'm sure that you got to deal with.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The am I enough, I think, is one of those suggested thoughts that I get on a daily basis. And it's building the muscle of knowing, is that a right size thought? Because I know I'm doing everything that I can.
Right.
I'm showing up at the 100% that I'm proud to. 200% at that, because I've been repping 2 flags my whole life, you know, and I'm proud of that. I'm super proud of that. But I think there's something really, you know, vulnerable, for sure, being in my position, because what I've done has never felt like a gimmick to me. It's never, it's always been to provide, really. It's come from a place of necessity. But it's harder because I feel like the more successful you become, the more layers that start to be added on, right? So once you become more successful, it's interesting because you grow up in a neighborhood, and I'm just speaking to my experience, right? Growing up in Inglewood, being Mexican-American, proud to be Chicana, already knowing, like, am I Mexican enough or am I American enough?
Right.
No soy de aquí ni de allá. Entonces, ¿dónde me quedo? Where the hell am I gonna, where do I stay, right? But shut out the noise, put your head down, keep going. I'ma dream big. They say dream big. The sky is the limit. Nothing's impossible. I'ma do it. I'ma do it. I'ma do it. You're doing it. You're doing it. You're doing it. Oh, now that's too big.
Right.
Now you're too successful. And now your community, or not my whole community, I can't speak for everyone. I've been shown so much love and so much support. I would not be where I am today if it weren't for like people who really love me and really, really support me. But I've noticed more people today start to associate you more with your success or the class that they associate you with versus understanding that you come from the same community as them. And so now you're no longer, oh, that's Becky from the blog. It's like, she changed.
Right.
I saw her the other day, and my coworker said, I literally saw a comment the other day. I shouldn't have even paid attention. But I said, tell your coworker I said hi. She said, my coworker said she's super privileged. And I'm like, I absolutely will acknowledge my privilege. I'm a light-skinned Latina. There's a lot of things that I have a lot easier than others, for sure. But my privilege was not given to me. I wasn't born into money. I wasn't born with connections. I was living in a garage when I started my career.
And you did the work.
The privilege I will acknowledge.
Right.
But I don't treat others with disrespect. I don't, and it's interesting because that entitlement, it'll be like I'm eating a meal with my family at a restaurant, right? And I love when people are like, yo, I just wanted to stop by really quick and tell you, like, I loved your last album. My favorite song is whatever. I'll sit there, I'll sit down. You want some of my tacos? Like, please, like, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
I love that. But when someone comes, it's like, oh my God, can we take a picture right now? I'm leaving. So like, and I'm mid-bite. And I'm like, I might bite your arm. I'm so hungry. Can you give me 2 minutes? Like 2 minutes. And it's like, but I'm leaving. Like, that's happened before. You know what I mean? So it's not even like, I'm Becky G. Do you know who you're talking to? I've never in my life. Like, that feels so ick to me. But at the same time, like, someone's enjoying a meal with their family, like, you know, like, what did she just think a little differently? And that's me taking me out of myself. But again, I like to look more at the positives, the love. Like I said, I literally would not be where I am today if it weren't for my community. Everything that I am is because of the culture that I experienced growing up. You know, and it's so multi-layered. So it makes sense. It's right-sized for me to have a multi-layered experience in it, with the good and the bad. And so I'm going to take it as it comes, embrace it as it comes, and then let it go when it no longer serves me.
Becky G, what made you find that it was the right time for you to start doing albums in Spanish?
Oh, it was the stars aligning.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Had it always been something that you had thought about?
Of course.
In immaculate timing?
Selena Quintanilla
Yes.
really was the first artist that I remember seeing myself in. And then when I was old enough to understand that, man, what could have been?
Right.
Like, what could have been?
Right.
Like, she was
young.
it, and so young. And the way she is celebrated and embraced because of her authenticity, even though she was, as we say in our community, pocha, right? I talk about pocha power today. Let's get our second, third, even fourth generation young Latinos to know that being proud of where we come from is more than a language. And for me, I grew up singing in Spanish before I felt really comfortable enough to speak it in front of cameras.
Gotcha.
And it was more because of fear of judgment, not because I was embarrassed to speak Spanish.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
I was a translator in elementary
Yeah.
school for all the kids in my classroom to the teacher. Like, I was blessed to be able to register 2 languages at a time. Like, to me, it's a blessing. But where was for Latin music when I started, it was before the Mi Gentes, before the Despacitos.
Yes.
So it wasn't an opportunistic move. It was more so like, I feel this in my heart and it's my greatest fear. Like, it's actually my greatest fear.
Did you have enough there too? Like, man, am I speaking it correct enough? Am I this and yeah?
Absolutely. And I still mess it up all the time. El, la, o, a. That's why I failed Spanish in school.
Right.
I was like, what the hell is
But you gotta
vosotros?
think.
Who uses vosotros? We don't use vosotros. I say marqueta and troca. Those aren't technically even like Spanish words.
But there's also, I mean, and people like, I remember my homeboy DJ Ray, we were in class and somebody was like, man, you failed Spanish. And I was like, dude, we failed English.
Thank you.
Like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's all good.
what do you mean here? Like, what are we judging?
Right.
So did it feel natural for you to come and say, you know what? You know, do you step out on faith? Are you a little hesitant at first before you say, I'm going to do the entire album in Spanish?
Oh, yeah. It was for sure conquering a big fear. That would, for me, I think in the end was like more self-rewarding
Right,
because
right.
I wasn't doing it for money. Lord knows. If you go back in my story and some things that people still don't know, definitely wasn't for that. And it wasn't for fame because it's probably one of the things I don't like about what I do. It's a lot. It was the pride and the inspiration that I would give to those other second, third generation Latinos to say, wow, she speaks Spanish like I do. Like the other day, I get it a lot. People are like, wow, her accent when she speaks Spanish is very generic. It's not Mexican accent sounding. And it's because I practice my Spanish more with my Puerto Rican friends and my Venezuelan friends and my Colombian friends because in the Mexican community, it was intimidating. And the press wasn't very nice with me. We're harder on our own.
Right.
So I was
we eat our
just
own.
to speak Spanish would be a huge rewarding feeling for me. So now I'm like, we'll have to bleep this one out, but I'm probably the only Mexican that says coño. I say coño. I don't know why my Cuban friends, it really stuck with me, and I was like, coño. And now that just comes out naturally, and I'm like,
And
I
what
don't
is
know, a
that?
lot of Mexicanos, it's like, fuck.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very Cuban.
It's very Cuban. So
Right.
Cuban. But I don't know, it sticks. But for me, it's because learning accents, I have a musical ear, so learning accents is like Trevor Noah spoke about it the other day, actually. It's a cheat code to learning a language. You have to be dumb enough to learn another language. You have to be humble enough to learn another language. And for me, I understood it so much growing up, and I only spoke it with my grandparents because, oh no, if I spoke with them in any other language, it's over. It would always be my grandma would always say, que ya me muero porque no puedo entender nada. And I'd be like, oh God, now I have to speak because if I'm speaking English, she thinks that I'm ignoring her. So let me speak in Spanish, So it was this back and forth of Spanglish always. So now I'm just like, I'll just roll with it.
Now, growing up also, was it encouraged for you to speak Spanish? Or was it because growing up, people that I know, my age, their parents kind of suppressed it.
Absolutely.
No, don't speak Spanish.
English.
Don't speak. Yeah. So when you were growing up, was it encouraged to speak Spanish, or was it more you speak English? You can speak a little bit for us as we're,
Yeah. I would say for me, it's a little bit more layered than that, actually, because my grandparents, for sure, I mean, they are from Mexico, from Jalisco specifically, and came to the States and had their kids here. And it was speak English, speak it well without accent, so you can get English-speaking jobs. You can get, you know what I mean? The way you're valued in America is a lot differently if you can speak English. So my parents definitely spoke English with us at home, but also because of the reason my brother Alejandro, he was diagnosed with autism very, very early on in his life. And even prior to his diagnosis, he had cranial synostosis. They had to do an operation on his cranium because of the pressure that was going on for his little brain. And there was this big surgery that happened, and it was scary because it was a 50-50 chance of living for him, or of surviving the operation, or potentially losing his life to it, because he was so little. And if we didn't do the surgery, there was possibility of him eventually living a life as what they use in a vegetable state, because the pressure on his brain eventually would have him lose his hearing, lose his vision, and then his ability to speak and all of his motor skills by a certain age. So what quality of life is that? What quality of life are we giving him? So let's take that chance. Let's take that risk. And it was super, super scary, but faith really just led us to making that decision. And we were told, he might not walk, he might not talk, he might not anything. And as he progressed, it was okay, at home, we're going to speak one language so he can learn to verbalize. And so we chose English because he would go to English-speaking schools and have, English-speaking friends and things like that. And now my brother understands Spanish very well. And he and my grandmas have very cute dynamics where my grandma speaks to him in Spanish and he speaks to them in English, and they just get it.
He taught her too, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. My grandma still doesn't, she says she calls Starbucks Star Wars sometimes.
Oh, I love it.
It's so cute.
Oh, give me
It's
something
so
from
cute.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Oh, Grandma Becky.
Or she can't say Rambo. She says rainbow. Yeah. It's like a rainbow. I'm like, very different things, but yeah.
Well, we get it, Grandma.
We get it, Grandma.
We get it.
Yeah.
Did you get COVID?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Once
I
or
did.
twice, 3 times?
Once.
Yeah.
Once, yeah.
Yeah, that thing swept through everybody. I think,
Yeah.
did everybody in here get it already? Did you have it wacko yet? Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah.
I didn't want to throw nothing up, get beat up downstairs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when that hits, are you more so in work mode once again? Did you get it early on?
No, I didn't get it
See,
early on. Yeah,
right.
no. I mean, the moment I got jabbed up, I was like, cool, gonna go back to work. But obviously, that just helps you
Yeah.
build immunity. It doesn't say you're gonna not get it. You know what I mean? And I think that it was important that we like took the shame out of getting it because
Yeah.
like
Oh
my
man.
people,
gosh,
I
yeah.
mean,
We
our
got it.
communities.
Let me tell you, we got it early, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, man, I'm going to announce it. And my daughter was like, and for some reason, I talk everything on air. For some reason, I asked the family, I said, hey, I'm going to talk about it on air. My daughter said, Dad, please don't. And my daughter is proud of everything that I do. But then it was like, that's the cootie girl. Her dad has COVID. You know what I'm saying? And I remember when Dave Chappelle, he was talking about it once everybody got settled with it. He was like, yeah, we did all these testings. And then I got it. And I felt dirty. And that's the way we felt.
Yeah.
I remember when I announced to the team that I had COVID, they start crying on the phone. And it wasn't for me, it was for them.
Yeah.
They're like,
'Cause it
man,
is- I
what
mean,
did
it's
this black
scary.
motherfucker get up? Yeah, it was unknown.
It's so unknown.
It was
It's so
unknown.
scary. And it's still such a wild card.
Yeah.
And I think we're all just trying to learn
Yeah.
more about it. But in my personal experience, I mean, I was down due to, like I said, I mentioned the diagnosis that I had prior to the pandemic. And it changes how I get sick,
Right.
basically. So I was a little bit more down. My mom was back up and running. My baby sister was back up and running. We were fine.
Oh, it blew
we were
through the household?
isolated. Yeah, we were isolated together. It was like around the holiday time too. So it was one of those like crazy things where you're like, I didn't leave the house, so I don't know
Right.
how.
Mm.
You know, like it
Uh-huh.
could have been at the grocery
It's-
store, it could have been anything, and it
It's
was like,
crazy how you get it.
yeah,
You know, because literally my daughter had it, right? And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, for sure, I got it again. For sure. And I didn't get it.
yeah.
It's crazy how it like kind of jump.
Yeah.
So
You know what I'm saying?
weird.
Like-
it's so wild. Like I'm like, is it a
Louis,
blood
you on
type
3 now,
thing?
right?
Is it?
Yeah, I'm on 3.
Yeah, Louis on 3, man. Well, you know, some
3
people
times.
collect coins and stamps and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And let him.
Yeah.
He's enjoying this.
I'm
Let
done.
us talk
3
to me
times.
about the new album.
The new album, yeah. So it's called Esquemas.
And that's schemes?
Yes. So
What-
if you
what-
look up the literal translation, it's schemes. But for me, there's like a phrase where I would say like quiero romper esquemas. I want to break the
Esquemas,
molds.
right.
Basically, I feel like going back to that multi-layered experience and all those boxes that you were mentioning earlier. You're not just a girl, you're a Latina woman. On top of that, you come from this, you look like this, you sound like this. And so there was all these like, I feel like boxes that I had to constantly be jumping out of at the same time as checking them for whatever corporate reasons and then breaking them because I was like, this is kind of
Right.
whack. Why do I have to fit your status quo? I don't like that. And that was something that like I was aware of very, very early on
Right.
in my career. And so it felt very appropriate that in this season of my life where I'm really doing the work to let go of the things that no longer serve me, it was also like, I'm gonna break those molds. Like I'm gonna break those boxes and I'm gonna say this is me. And that's why it's a genreless album. It's mixed
Right.
with so many different, there's
But that's life.
Spanish R&B, there's a song called Flashback that's got like a doo-wop-y
Is
trap.
that you, honey?
My mom loves that song.
My
and
mom
it's a
loves
sexy
you.
song, so that's funny. That's really funny that your
You
mom
should
likes
know her
it.
mom.
That mean your mom.
She doesn't understand, but she loves it.
You
I
think
love it.
your mom's still getting it in with
Ah!
Pop?
She said,
With,
la,
her-
la,
with
la,
your
la, la.
dad. With your dad.
No.
How do you think you got here?
Yeah.
Come on.
You know her album is amazing,
Hey,
guys.
dude.
Thank you.
If your mom's popped an OnlyFans and
No.
you saw it, would you
No,
trip?
What's
I
up?
would shut it down. I'd be like, Mom, you're never
What?
having a phone again.
Man,
I'd
you
be
gotta
like,
let
go
your mom
mama,
live.
go
Yeah.
mama.
You
Hey,
gotta- you gotta-
I can't wait to look like my mom when I get older.
That's why your mom doing everything in the dark.
Oh, no.
You know what I'm saying?
Take it away.
Let me tell you. You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you.
Ew.
But back to the album.
Yeah.
So and when I say how was it like finding your voice, I don't mean octave. I mean finding your voice to say, you know what? I'm going to say this. I'm going to let people know how I feel. Because at some point, we don't want to rock the boat. This is the way it's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then you get to a point where you're just like, this doesn't feel right to me. Or this is what I'm feeling. Like, you know, like.
It's so crazy because I remember, so I signed my record deal when I was 14 years old, which
Right.
is so wild
And
to
at
think
14,
about.
we would kind of do anything.
So crazy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. One of my greatest things was like, I'm going to be a chameleon because wherever it is to find opportunity, I want to rise to the occasion, because if I do that, that means I can provide for my family.
Right.
Right? That's like really like the back
At a
functioning
14-year-old
of it
age
all.
thinking I need to provide.
Absolutely. And I also was like, in my head, I was like, I watched enough behind the music to know not to sign a bad deal.
You know, 14.
Can't wait till my behind the music comes out.
Yeah.
But anyways, no, but honestly, like I wouldn't change anything about my story, but it's funny because it feels like the entire music industry changed like almost like 2 weeks after I signed my deal at 14. It was like, I signed a record deal. This is it. This is like when it becomes real. This is the real level. Now it really counts. And then like 2 weeks later, it was like, after record labels, independent artists is where it's at. And I was like, what did I do? What did I do? Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
But like I said, I was really lucky to have like good people around me that always believed in me, because it just gave me experience and it gave me time to develop and try different things. And so it's funny because all of it's on the internet, right? So everybody's like, she doesn't know who she is. All her songs sound different. I'm like, I know who I am, and I'm so confident in who I am that I like to try different things.
Right.
Like, I'm allowed that as a creative person,
that's
right?
life, too. We supposed to be we're trying to put people in boxes.
Yeah.
But in life, I mean, you crash the car, you move in different directions. It's crazy because people want to keep celebrities or our favorite artists or whatever. We want to keep you in this box. And even just in life, dude, like, if I'm working a regular 9 to 5, there's a one day that I probably want to drink a beer. There's probably a day I want to drink a soda. There's probably one day I don't eat fish. You know, but there's always something. But people want to hold you, or not just you, but they want to hold you to this thing. And they want to put you in this box. And your life is like this. So if you're trying to continuously find yourself, especially from the age of 9 to 14 to as you sit here today, like, you're still learning who you are.
Yeah. And that's part of, like, I think the one of the is one of the downsides, I think. It's hard to grow up in front of the world. Like, my life is literally chronological on the internet. Like, one of the greatest glow ups, I think, is my teeth. Like, everybody's always, literally, you can type in Becky G on Google, and like one of the things that will come up is teeth. Because you'll see Becky G's teeth before. Oh, that's funny. There's a dragonfly. You'll see Becky G's teeth before, and then you'll see Becky G's teeth afterwards. And I was like, I worked hard for those, and I still kept my gap. So don't talk.
Go ahead now.
I still kept my gap because it's a part of me, you know. But I think for me, it's like, doing a genreless album was important because as an artist, like, sometimes, and this goes to all of our youth, like all of our community, we don't have to be what other people want us to be. We can be whatever we choose to be. That is, like, in the actions that I've made, hopefully the takeaway is that we shouldn't be limited to it. It actually limits us. It doesn't do what we have to offer justice to limit ourselves to what the esquemas are, you know? So break them, rip them. And that's why I did a genreless album, because I was like, I can do all of this. And I'm confident in each sound.
Right.
Each one of them has influenced me, from the trap doo-wop record to the Spanish R&B record to MAMIII, which is like the leading single off of the album, to No Mienten, which is a club record. Yeah.
You do, man, all the G's coming together.
Yeah. It's about time.
Becky G, Carol G, YG, Polo G, Louis G.
Throw Louis G.
You know what I'm saying? Cool G rap. She gonna re-strip the album, put all the G's on there. What did that Coachella feel like to you?
Oh, so good.
Right.
Yo,
What's
so
the largest audience that you've stepped on stage in front of, and where were you at?
I was in Chile.
Yeah.
It's actually really cool. It's called the Teleton. It's like a telethon that they do to help children with disabilities. And so I've participated in a lot of things like that. They do a Teleton USA here, but I was invited to do the one with Don Francisco in Chile, which is iconic. I mean, if you know Don Francisco, he's like a big boy.
No,
He's
don't
like,
say that.
No. Like,
Somebody gonna get mad at that in there.
No. As far
You know
as
what I'm
like,
saying?
you're a part of people's experience in our lives,
Thank
you
you,
know?
Queen.
And I think when he had invited me to do it, I was like, this is cool. And it was like in their big stadium, and I think it was like 70,000 people or something like that. And they had like the stage in the center of the arena.
My God.
And it's so cool, but it's like the sound is crazy. And you're like, I hope I sound good.
What
And
does that energy feel like?
Incredible. So amazing. And it's for a good cause too. So it
Right.
was such a beautiful experience. So that was really dope.
How do you find your shutdown time? With you being in a position where it seems like you work hard and you offer so much. Even today, like you coming in today was her personal day. Like today was her.
This is
off.
personal though, low key. I didn't come with any of my team. I brought my mom. I literally had told my team, I was like,
Mom's out there?
that's my mom.
I love it.
Yeah,
they
that's
just,
my mom.
They just rolled up. You
Yeah,
know
no,
what
we
I'm saying?
really just did. Like, it's so crazy. Like, I feel so at home in these buildings in a weird way because I've been here so many times.
Right.
But I literally told my team, I was like, oh yeah, I have an interview with Big Boy.
I love it.
And they're like, oh, should we tell the label? I was like, no, it's fine. It's good.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just hanging out. We're just rolling. Like, this is a personal, like I think it's important for me to, again, participate in things that do with my passion
Right.
in an authentic way versus it feeling like a job. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I did my own makeup today.
Go
I
ahead
picked my
now.
outfit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just here, you
Come
know?
do my
Like, I'm
makeup.
just.
It look good.
So when
I
said,
will.
come do
Oh my God,
makeup.
girl.
It looks so good.
Give me your address. I'll send you some tres luces for sure.
Yeah, talk to me
Yes.
about that.
Because that's amazing because you went from someone who was like, oh, yeah, I work with CoverGirl too. Bam. This is like
This
my
is me.
stuff.
Is that your
Yeah.
makeup you're wearing?
Yeah.
I need that. Look at my face. But go ahead. We're talking about
Send some
what
over.
make you go from, because at first it's like, man, if I could just go into a spot and just first buying your own makeup. It's like, oh, I got money to buy my own
It's
makeup.
crazy. I cry
and
every
then
time.
somebody say, oh, you know what? I got CoverGirl. That's like huge.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you say, nah, I'm doing my own.
Mm-hmm.
How crazy is that you have now your own line?
It's
that,
crazy. It's
yeah.
so wild. It's a dream come true. I wish
Like,
I had
I'm
my phone
wearing
on me so
my
I could show
makeup.
you guys these pictures. I have pictures of like little baby Becks, like with the whole beat. Like whole beat. My mom
Baby
used to let
Becks.
me just
Yeah,
play
man.
and express. Because to me, it's a form of art. It's a form of self-expression. And I think in our culture, especially, like, it's just part of us. Like, I had a cool mom, I had a young mom. And so she would let me play. I would do my brother's makeup, like convince them that, oh, I'm gonna make you look like a clown, but like
Yeah.
actually like do their makeup. Because it was fun. I was a signed artist already. I wasn't old enough to get in the club, so I would get my older cousins ready to go to the club.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
dope.
And I was like buying like I was buying knockoff makeup at the Santee alleys,
Hell
not
yeah.
knowing that there was like gasoline in the and
Yeah.
like I don't know,
Bad
rat
stuff.
poison
Like, I don't
and all
know.
kinds
She
of.
did my makeup and I,
I
got a
know.
rash.
Their eyelashes are like glued together.
But all that tuition into the school of experience.
Literally, yeah.
we are right
it's
now.
So wild. And I think, every step along my glam girl experience, from having a young mom who let me interact with makeup and have fun with it, to doing my cousin's makeup for fun, and then becoming a cover girl, one of the youngest cover girls ever, actually. And from Inglewood. It was just so
Inglewood.
amazing. It was so exciting. But, as you get older and you become aware of the field that you work in, right, the industries that you're existing in, and checking those boxes for other people, I was like, man, like, I think it's important not to just show young Latinas that we can be the pretty face of something, but that we
Yeah.
can be the owners.
Owners.
We can have a seat at the table. We can participate in the business of this. And so representation is so important, so much to the point where I don't want to just be the face of Tres Luces. There's a reason why I didn't name it Becky G Cosmetics.
Right.
It's not about me. It's about educating the beauty space, that not all Latinas look the same. We don't all speak the same. We have different backgrounds, different accents, different flavors to offer, and so that one size fits all mentality doesn't do us justice. And so, how do we invite people who aren't from our community to want to learn more about us through art, through exciting things? And so, there's initiatives that we have that are embedded in our moral compass as a brand that I hope a lot more companies start to do, which is like collaborating with other artists. We collaborate with Latinx artists for all of our artwork on our eyeshadow palettes, and they all come from like different places. The first one was from Mexico. The holiday palette, she's an Afro-Latina from DR. She's Dominican. We have a Brazilian artist that we're going to be highlighting, and for them, it's like their opportunity to share what being Latina is to them. Because it's so different for everybody,
That's dope.
It was really awesome, and I love it so much.
Hey,
like,
we've been giving tickets away for Angel City FC, right?
let's go.
I didn't know that was you too.
Yeah, that's me too.
Hello.
Owner up in one of the
Man,
owners up
so
in here.
you got ownership.
hmm
It all girls soccer, all women soccer.
It's all women's soccer club.
That's
Mhm.
dope.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Oh, I hunted it down.
Yeah, as you should. Hell
No.
yeah.
I really did. I heard there was whispers. This is a long time ago. There was whispers that there was going to be a team coming to LA, and I called everyone on my team. I called my agents. I called my managers. I called my business managers. I was like, I don't know who we need to speak to, but I need to know what's going on. And I don't know if I actually have like the funds to participate in something like this, but I will work as an equipments manager, an equipments assistant. I will be the water girl. I could do post-game interviews. Like, I need to be affiliated with this because soccer for me, and not just because my man's like a pro player or whatever, but like even being a young Chicana growing up here playing like AYSO and like not that my soccer career was gonna go anywhere, but I think I would have played a lot differently if I knew that there was even the slightest chance that I can play for like my city's like team, you know, like as a young girl, going to games like I did to Laker games or Dodger games, you know what I mean? Like it would, I wanted to be a part of that so that one day when I do have a daughter and I could tell her, you could be better than daddy. Like you know, you could be like daddy. It's that's not, because I wanted to play for the Dodgers growing up, not gonna lie. And then when I learned that I couldn't because I was a girl, I was like, I'll become a pop star, I guess. Whatever. You know? But like,
and I'll go perform there. You know what I'm saying?
And we did that too.
Exactly.
But yeah, so for me, when I got involved with Angel City and I spoke with Julie, and it was one of those things where I was just like, I need you to know just how important this is to me. Like this is like literally my childhood and my city, and to be a part of this would mean the world to me. And so yeah, I'm in it, and I did have the funds, and I was boom, let's go. And so we're here, and we're finally, I mean, our season ticket holders are incredible. They show up, like our numbers are incredible. It's amazing.
And Natalia was telling me as well that there was another owner that you bumped into.
Oh, yeah. So
see, sometimes sometimes people just don't know.
Sometimes you know what's funny though, because sometimes it's just, again, the different experiences. Because maybe this person has no idea what that experience was like for me on the other side. But being one of the youngest like owners of founders of the team and stuff, and being, you know, a young little brown girl, like excited to be there. It's our opening game, and all the owners are gonna walk out together, and all the owners' families are there, and we're all hanging out. And they're like, okay, so we want everybody to gather so we can talk about what the opening ceremony is gonna look like, so everybody knows what they're doing.
All the owners are there,
right? So all the owners are there. Everybody's like walking in, and even then, like the imposter syndrome screaming is like, do you own enough to be in there? Like, you know, and then Julie's like, hey, cute, come on, Becky, go. And I'm like, okay. And then so there I go, and I'm walking in, and I'm just waiting, you know, and there's not a lot of us, so I'm just hanging out there, and this, you know, older gentleman bumps into me, and he goes, oh, excuse me. And in my head, I'm like, excuse me, like, because you spilled your beer, or like, excuse me, like, excuse you, because you bumped into me, like, you know, like already, like, what is this? There's all these like things going on in here. And then I get asked, oh, so do you work for the team? And yeah, and I was like, no, actually, I'm an owner too. And it was like this like prideful moment where I was like, yeah, me too, boss. Like we're in this together. And the other thing was like, oh, you don't see me like that. Right. Because that's how it is for us. So it was this like double experience at the same time. But again, on the other side, it was like, oh, cool, that's amazing, you know? And we introduced ourselves, and it was like this thing. And so I don't think the takeaway on the other side was at all how I received it. But that's our experience.
See, I received it different too. Then my bad.
Yeah. We had your back, dude.
Because
we had your back.
And at least she was like, "No, I'm an owner." Because I would have threw a motherfucker in there. I would have definitely been
I'll
like,
be sure to call Theo Kurt next time. Don't worry.
And I would have been like, "No, I'm an owner, motherfucker." And then you know you always got to get somebody to back you up. Jose, you hear this shit?
I'm done.
The fuck, you know, man? Who are you? What you doing in here?
I'm done.
That's what I would have said. What you doing in here, old white pops? That's what I would have said. But you handled it well.
You handled it well.
Yeah, you handled it well.
Yeah, you know, because it's like, well, look, at the end of the day, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
We're all in this together.
Right? I would have given him a little shame, though. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get people all the time. Like, when I was much bigger, Becky, they'll say, oh, what football team do you play for? And now that I lost the weight, it's like, oh, what basketball team do you play for? You know, like, I can't just be what I do or successful, or I can't be a doctor. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always something with it.
There's always something
with it. But you handled it well.
Thank you.
And is he going to be at the next game? Because we're going to a game. Can we?
We're going to roll up.
Yeah. You don't even.
I don't know. The stadium's pretty security, babe. There's a lot of people there. Me calling security to make sure you guys don't cross paths.
Just twinkle your nose or something. Just do something. Just like
joking.
crease your nose or go like, just rub your eye.
Let's get our signs ready, guys.
Yeah, and then we're on them. Yeah. We hold
Becky
up. We
G
love
is
Becky
an
G.
owner.
Yeah, she is an owner. Hello.
We want Becky.
Nah, it's one of
Trust that.
my proudest, for sure, one of my proudest accomplishments. Like,
And-
I go
and
to
so many
games
more
and
to come.
I cry.
Isn't that crazy though?
Yeah.
That's
To,
insane.
to sit in a stadium and be like, dude, I own
At
this.
the owner's
it's,
suite.
It's
Yeah.
it's
The owner's
amazing.
suite.
Hell yeah.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's so cool. And even when I'm not in town, like I would love for you guys to come whenever
we
you guys
going with you.
want. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's what
We
I'm saying.
going-
Come.
And we gonna represent you right too.
Please.
You know what I'm saying? Because we don't want to be the people in there that be taking all the stuff. And, we with Becky.
That's me. But that's me.
But you own it. You know
I know,
what I'm saying?
but I still be like,
Oh my
can
God.
I take the popcorn?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's me all the time.
Isn't that crazy though? And never get used to it.
No.
Yeah, that's
every
what's
show that
beautiful
I
about
do.
it. Never
There's a
get used to
writer. Like I have my writer,
Yeah.
right? And I'll have like I don't know, like club sodas, a bottle of tequilita,
Mm-hmm.
some snacks. Hot Cheetos are always on there. And so like even if I don't get to them, like I put them in my bag and I take them home.
Yeah,
Hell
isn't
yeah.
that crazy?
And I'm like I'm not gonna leave
Hey,
that.
dude, when I
Like,
go
that's
do
mine.
when I go do TV shows, we bring like a backpack or a duffel bag. We take all the craft services.
Oh yeah.
We take all the water still.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh man. And then even after concerts, right? Like I know that like Snoop, Ice Cube, they, we go in their dressing rooms and we eat their food.
Hell yeah.
And I don't know if that stems from not having or you know what I'm saying.
Well,
But we
don't
like,
come to mine because nothing will be left.
Okay.
There will never be anything left behind
but
in mine.
you're on the same card with us though. So as we're walking through, we'll be like, oh nothing. Oh
Yeah.
well, no, don't go in Becky's.
It's
Yeah,
empty
don't
already.
go in Becky's,
Yeah,
it's
she already
empty
took everything.
Always. I'll take the flowers.
What's your
Oh, yeah.
relationship with Bad Bunny?
With Bad
You
Bunny.
saw that coming, huh?
I mean, him?
Yeah, man.
Oh, who didn't?
I think a lot of people
you
did.
look at him, you look at his way of being, you look at his creative mind, what he stands for too, like beyond just music. It's undeniable.
Right.
You see someone like him and he's just an incredible person, incredible artist. Who I had like the pleasure and honor of doing
Yeah.
a song with, really early on in both of our careers. And it's really special to look back at that time when Mayoras happened because there was a really cool crossover that happened for both of us. Me going, this
Right.
was my
Perfect
first
timing
really
for
big
you.
like Spanish song. Yeah, for sure. And at the time, Bad was doing a lot of like underground trap, things like that. And this was like a pop song. Like for him to like make a pop song, like cool, like it was a huge cross.
I remember you shared a story with us earlier. And when you say the trap songs and so on and so forth, I remember, didn't you have to send them back for another verse?
Yeah,
Because-
there was
because-
it was a
'cause
little
the verse-
dirty.
Yeah.
I mean, if you listen, like even like even the one that it is
That made
today
it.
is like a little saucy. Bad Bunny saucy. It's
Right.
fine, but there was one that for sure was not gonna get played on radio. We were like, that's not gonna work. Yeah,
It's just crazy when you sit back and you could watch how certain things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could look at like, there's a snapshot of you see somebody hustling or getting something, but then you could say, man, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I remember we did a festival and Bad Bunny was out doing our outdoor stage.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like now you can't even get this dude to do the indoor. It's and not but you got to have 15 Bad Bunnies
Yeah.
now to
Mm-hmm.
try to get a date with Bad Bunny. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's just crazy how you'll look at people and just see the blow up.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll sometimes look, and we even with you, Becky, it's like people can see the success, and then there'll be some people that'll say, oh yeah, was it overnight? But we don't see all the work.
Yeah.
And if it is, and I know yours is far from overnight, but I'll
Mm-hmm.
see someone, I say, man, if that was overnight, that was a long ass night.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And when I look at you, it's crazy because we saw this baby face little girl come in with a red and black like flannel shirt, and you know what I'm saying? And then just to see you grow into this lady and this owner and this brand and boss up and not even nowhere close to what it's gonna be and how many not just lives around you that you change, but just through your music.
Thank you.
You got to think about when you say Selena and there's a smile and there's something that you can gravitate towards. You are also that, and not, oh, you're Selena. I don't want nobody to look at this the wrong way, but you're that person for someone right now
Yeah.
that say, you know what, because at one point we didn't see a lot of ourselves in positive images. You know what I'm saying? So when you start to see that, like you called my daughter on her birthday, Daddy could have got her damn near anything, you know, that she can hold on. You want a bike? You want this? You want that? She wanted a call from Becky G.
Oh,
And you called her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now you charged me $10,000.
Don't lie.
How much was it?
Don't lie.
How much was it?
You're deaded still. What do you mean? I
No, but you know what? No, but you called my daughter. You remembered it, and that's what she wanted. You know, so continue to be that for
Thank
so
you.
many people.
Thank you so
Continue
much.
to be that, man.